All right, everybody, welcome back to part 2 in the Trak build series for the Upload Express modelers. Now, I know based on this first image what some of you might be thinking, and that's, Paul, that module is about double the size the one you built last episode. And yeah, you're right. I finally decided what it is that I wanted to do for the build series, and it wasn't going to fit on a single, so I hit up Klondikes.com and ordered up a double module to use for the build. Now, the next question you're probably thinking is, well, what are you building? So instead of trying to explain it to you, let's just head out to the tracks and everybody can see for themselves. So this is the Jericho Road crossing in my hometown of Bergen, New York. Just west of the crossing is milepost 391 on the CSX water level route headed towards Albany. And while by itself it certainly offers some pretty great modeling potential, there's a nice rolling hill, some farmers' fields, a grade crossing, a New York Central style tombstone mile marker, all really fun things to model on a Trak module, but this crossing has a lot more meaning to me than just a great scene. You see, I owe my love of trains to both my parents, really. They got married on the Arcade and Attica Railroad, and since birth I've been inundated with trains of all sorts. Thomas the Tank Engine, real trains, steam engines, diesels, you name it, it was in my life. But a big part of my fascination with trains came from my dad taking me out rail fanning, both locally and far distances. I've got some really great memories of watching the CSX hump yard at Frontier Yard in Buffalo, along with a couple other locations that I've got really good memories of. But this location specifically is one that always sticks with me. You see, I can remember pretty vividly my dad and I discovering in the early 2000s a train that was still running with a caboose. And we didn't realize it at the time, but what we were seeing was actually the CSX local heading from Rochester out to Batavia to bring cars to interchange with Genesee Valley Transportation. But after seeing this train a couple of times, we had kind of worked out what the schedule was and tried our best to get down to this crossing, Jericho Road, to see it whenever we had time. To be honest with you, I can't even remember how many times we ended up seeing that caboose train. I've learned since that they didn't end up running with the caboose every time they went to Batavia. They actually needed it for a different part of the local closer to Rochester. And when they didn't have that in the run, they left the caboose in the yard. But I still do remember a lot of the trains that we saw, a lot of brand new YN2, some patched out Conrail, and my favorite type of train being the piggyback train, which was the trailer on flat cars. But most importantly, I remember the time spent with my dad. Now being a fully grown adult and not having the amount of time I used to spend with my dad, I am incredibly grateful to have these memories. So as I drove past Jericho Road the other day, still thinking about what it was that I wanted to model for this Trak build, it occurred to me that what better way to pay homage to my dad and this specific spot that we used to rail fan so frequently than to model it in N-scale. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So here we go. This is the very first mock-up, just trying to get an idea of where things are gonna be. You can kind of see I've got a rough idea of the nice little rolling hill that's going to be behind the tracks. And you can also even see that I was able to find a 3D printed version of his 1978 F-250 Super Cab that I'll be able to have parked right next to the tracks like we used to. And I've also got an N-scale figure of a dad and son that I'll be able to add to the module as well. Once I had everything mocked up, it was time to get to work. The first thing was to get the track secured down. I chose to just use some plain simple liquid nails projects in order to secure mine down, and also use this double track crossover that I had from a previous idea to help make sure that I had good alignment on each side of the module as well. After I got the track itself glued down, I went in and hit it with a coat of Vallejo Dark Earth, just to paint the track and make it look a little bit more realistic. And then I got the foam for the hill that's going to be behind the tracks drying in as well. It was about this time that I got in the paint that I needed to use for the 3D printed version of my dad's F-250. I ended up finding a place online that is actually selling touch-up paint of Ford's dark metallic brown, which was the color of his truck. And I just bought a bottle of that, hoping that I was going to be able to figure out some way to put it through an airbrush. Turns out that it's actually a solvent-based paint that thins very well with acetone. So I was able to just put a couple of drops of acetone in there with the mix, and it flowed really, really nicely through my airbrush, and I was able to get the N-scale version of my dad's truck painted the exact same color as his. There's still a little bit work to do on the truck itself. I still need to do a lot of the chrome work and figure out how to do windshields using the masking tape method, which is pretty interesting, but I haven't quite had time to do that yet, so stay tuned for future updates to see how the truck turns out. Once the glue was dry on the foam on the module, I was able to get the hot wire cutter and my respirator out and get to cutting the foam into the shape of this nice rolling hill. And then, silly me, I forgot to record a little bit of what I did next. Just a couple of little things. I added a layer of plaster cloth over top of the foam just to make sure everything looked nice and smooth. And then I went ahead and painted that plaster cloth a nice dirt brown color. Once those two things were done, it was time to start thinking about how I wanted to lay in the road itself, and I discovered that actually HO scale cork is about the perfect width for an N-scale road. So that's what I'm going to use as my base, and then go over the top of it with a layer of plaster to be able to color accurately. But that we're going to have to save for next episode. Next episode, we're going to hopefully be able to finish up the N-scale F-250 build and also dive deep into the process of doing scenery on this module. I've got a really cool technique that I developed for the main layout for a hayfield that I'm also going to also adapt for this T-Track module, and plenty of other fun scenery to go as well. So be sure to tune in when that episode drops, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.